Hello, everybody. Welcome to the session. Thanks for joining me today. A quick show of hands for me right before we start. Give me a hand raise if you are in social media or in content creation of any sorts. OK, great. So a lot of you. And I mean, you are in an AI theater, so I assume that you are using AI. But show of hands again for people who are using any sort of AI within marketing. So for that. Awesome. Next one then. How many of you think you are using full extent of AI within social media and content creation? I was expecting at least some ratio of hands, but this is good to know. And if in that case, let's go to our main topic. I think you are in the right space. We will be talking about how to leverage AI within social media and content creation to the full extent. And by the way, I forgot to introduce myself. Hi, my name is Archana. I'm a marketing professional and content creator for last 20 years. I'm also a LinkedIn top voice, and I have approximately 200,000 followers across different social media platforms. That's the QR code for my link tree. You can figure out which social media profiles maybe is of interest to you to follow. I always share a lot of insightful content that you can later on access as well. I'll bring this QR code up later as well. OK, so what's the overview of our talk? I will try and talk about what are the different types of AI that we are seeing in the marketing today, the applications of this within social media space. So essentially, the focus is around social media. And then what are the tools that you are going to use? Some example of use cases that are being talked about within the industry. But at the same time, I'm actually going to show you my personal use cases. So hold on to that. This will be a case study that I have prepared for all the work that I have done in social media. At the end, I know we've all seen these fancy videos about a day in a life of a content creator, a marketer. I've got a day in a life with a social media toolkit for you. So you can take that home, think about how you can leverage that. And maybe I'll touch upon a little bit about future of AI as well. So we'll go ahead with that. OK, well, there are many predictions about AI. You know, most of the predictions, starting from last year, they are coming across and saying that there will be a rise in AI. To be honest, it's a bumper year for product enhancements. You've seen every single product out there is coming up with a new release around AI, be it in social media, be it in marketing, be it somewhere else. So, and marketers and organizations, just like everybody else, are trying to think about how to use those AI tools, how to enhance productivity, essentially. And when it comes to social media, it's no different, right? Like this was the latest one that I found just about last week. And it talks about that from 2023 to 2030, we are looking at an year-on-year increase of about 20%. But to be honest, in my opinion, this is going to be way higher. I think we are already seeing a leverage of AI in a lot more extent than what this report is saying. OK, before we actually jump into social media, this is just some examples of AI where brands are actually leveraging and having fun. I think we are talking a lot more about productivity enhancement, efficiency creation, but actually we can have a lot of fun with AI. Think about, like, when you go back, think about how within your workspace, within your day-to-day, within your marketing campaigns that you're creating as a marketer, how can you leverage AI and have fun with it? I think that's the key. For me, the two that stand out, I mean, there are so many out there, was obviously the Heinz Ketchup AI campaign, where AI was producing a lot of different styles of bottles. But also KFC's finger licking good. I know there was a lot of like AI fails with multiple fingers when you were doing AI generation through images. And KFC literally took it to the next step and had a whole campaign on it. But if our KPI today, and we are all governed by KPIs, was to just implement AI, then I think I would go about and say we are already using AI, right? Because AI has been there for a long while before. We had predictive AI, automation AI, we were using marketing automation. So if my boss was to come to me and say, well, the KPI is let's make sure we are using AI, well, that's checked. But what has actually changed is the Gen AI. The Gen AI piece, which is actually creating net new content using command prompts, is something that happened last year. So it's important to understand what is happening in that space, and that's where I will focus today. Okay, so we talked about AI, we talked about different advents of AI, types of AI. But here's a snapshot of where I see as an AI within social media. Obviously, as a content creator, as a social media marketer, we are always looking at content creation. But social media is so much more than just posting pictures and creating captions. And any social media manager or a marketer can tell you that. There's so much in the back end that happens, be it reporting, be it analytics, be it influencer marketing. There are really good use cases where brands are using AI prompts to find relevant influencers for them who are actually writing about the content that matters to them. And that's a really good use case, rather than going and searching for influencers on different databases, right? There's also command automation. There's also conversational AI that happens within social media. I'll show you my own case with some of the tools that I have used. And also, you understand what is your sentiment analytics? How are people reacting to different posts? What kind of sentiment are you trying to promote through your content? And as promised, here are some tools for each of those use cases. I'll take a pause. Feel free to take a picture. I'm happy to circulate this presentation later as well. You'll find it available on my Linktree profile later on to download. But these are some of the tools that I've tested. So just like any other marketer, I go around testing different tools. To be honest, for each of these use cases, there are many more tools available. So I'm not saying that these are the best tools out there. These are the tools I have tried, and I can say they are worthwhile to at least give it a go. And I will talk about few of these tools in my use cases as we progress in the presentation. The use case we talk about are content strategy, obviously. I think for me, some of the unexplored use cases are around messaging, sentiment analysis, and also reporting, because a lot of our time is also spent on those monthly reports, quarterly reports, year-end planning, next year planning, and what you're doing. So here's an example of what happens when you're using AI within Toolkit, right? There's a tool which can help you when you're working on creating content with your senior leadership, with somebody who maybe doesn't have the content ready, and they're reading from a screen. You can actually create a lot of videos, but then correct the eyes. I think a lot of people might have already seen this. I've actually tested, and it works really well, and I'll show you in a couple of other slides as we go. There's another tool, and they're not just vMaker. There are many other tools which can help you take a long-form content and slice it into multiple short-form pieces. Now, based on your command, this could be pretty automatic, or you could actually command prompt and say, I want to basically cut this video at certain points of inflection as well. You can see I've put my own picture there because I was trying to remove background and use it as a LinkedIn profile picture at one time. Copy.ai, great for generating captions, great for creating emails, any content that you're trying to create as well. Here's a use case. I think I promised, and when I wrote this talk, I was thinking, what can I add value to? How can I make sure that I am putting something out there that is pretty unique, that can actually help everybody in their day-to-day? And we know podcast is one of those content types these days that everybody is either trying to do, doing it, or talking about it. We all like to listen podcast as well. But as a marketer, I've done it before AI. I've done it after AI. And the process is a lot more simpler. Where before AI, a podcast would probably become more like a month-long project. I'm planning, I'm researching a speaker, then I'm writing all those questions for somebody. After the shoot, it is a lot of conversations with the editor on how I want this video to look like. Maybe it's one take, but then I have to still promote it. And that promotion isn't going to happen on its own. People are not going to find it unless you have a really big speaker who brings a lot of traffic. So at that point, coming with AI, I think this is a great model where I'm able to research the topic, think about what other people are facing as challenges. Sometimes I'm not the subject matter expert for a topic, right? And at that point, AI can really help me understand what are the different key points that people are really interested in, help me create those first draft of questions, bounce them off the speakers, and then at the same time, help me transcribe that episode. I think transcription was such a painful piece of a podcast earlier, but now this can happen in minutes. I have transcribed a whole podcast in 5 seconds once it's uploaded. So the upload time obviously is needed, but after that it's pretty seamless. You can edit the audio. If there are ums and ahs in the video, that can be taken away like flick. You can also rescue some of the bad audio as well, because if I was recording this talk today, I can literally clean the background noise, and it becomes a seamless video and audio for me. But also some social media clips. Here's a model that I created and I've been using, where one large piece of content essentially can be broken down into 25 pieces of content. This is mainly when you are looking at different platforms, whether it's audio post, blog post, smaller screen grabs on the day, and also like small short form videos. So thinking about how you can leverage that one piece of content that was your long form of content and taking it to a 25-day cycle. Now, I'm not saying that you have to push it out in 1 week, right? Like I would stagger it for like a month, 2 months even. And that's where I get the worth of this. We know content is the king, but creating content every day, when I've been a content creator for last 14 years, is killing. So having these models at the back is really, really important for me, and I'm glad that I'm able to share this with you today. Here's another one. So this is essentially, I wanted to talk more about short form videos, but this is applicable to other videos as well. So think about, we've just done podcast, which is a form of a video as well. But then let's say if you were creating another video case, which was a short form video. We do a lot of short form videos because we've seen that the engagement on those videos are quite quick. How do you take those? I think a clear-cut use case is that if your brand and if your brand tone is such that you can work without humans, with AI-generated videos, then leveraging AI, command prompting it to create videos from B-roll, command prompting it to create videos from stock library is a really good case. And then also thinking about how you can use and create them into blog posts. Because sometimes, even in those 30 seconds, we are giving the user a lot of value, right? We are talking about 5 things that I would like to do, 5 main benefits of these tools. But if I was to I can literally take those 5 benefits and expand those caption and the video content and take it into a long-form blog post as well. Not just that, you can also use AI to create voiceover. There have been times when I don't have time. In fact, for last 45 days, my voice was really bad, and I couldn't do any voiceover. And all I did was I fed some of my audio back into an AI tool, and it produced audio for me, which looked quite close to some of the audio that I would produce as well. So there's the benefit of using AI in creating audios to that extent. And this is a short form of one single content piece that can be taken down to 25 places as well. Just note, I think 25 maybe can only happen, and I come from a B2B marketing background, even though I'm a content creator, is when you're across all the platforms. I have a lot of organizations who might say, we are only on LinkedIn, Instagram doesn't matter to us. Obviously, in that case, 25 might be a stretch. So I want to call this out, that this can only happen if you're going across multiple platforms. OK, so as promised, I'm going to show some of my work samples. And this is purely my work, so feel free to take inspiration as you would from here. This is quite recent. What I did was I used my Instagram data, 90 days of data, fed it into an Excel, downloaded it basically, and uploaded into ChatGPT and said, use this data, act as a strategist for me, and help me understand what kind of content should I be producing and leveraging to create engagement, draw people in. Now think of this as more creativity exploration, right? Think of it like you would do a whole day workshop with the team and come up with a lot of ideas. That's exactly what is happening here. I was short on time. It was coming to summers, and I wanted to just evaluate what type of content should I be creating. The most important thing is how detailed are your prompts. I've tried to give ChatGPT, or in this case, any other AI tool, as much information about myself. I've trained it to a detail that it understands the tonality, the language, brand voice that I have. My AI tools, not just from this command prompt, but in the settings, are also trained to act and behave like me. So I think that's the most important part, that we should think about training the AI model as well. And here's a visual of what the output looked like. The next case study that I'm going to talk about is going to be mainly around, I had to go on a holiday, last minute travel plan. I'm also, as I said, I'm in a full-time job as well. So how do I manage my work life and my content creation life is always a question that I get asked. And for last 1 year, I think it's been much more easier than it was in the past. And I leverage AI to do a lot of things right now. This is one such area where I leverage AI because I don't have time to read blog posts. I don't have time to go and look at itineraries and figure out what I should be doing. So this was actually for Lanzarote. We were going on a holiday. I said, help me understand what are the destinations I should be visiting. I have a 10-year-old son. I mean, he was 10 back then. He's 11 now. So I have a son. I have to make sure that I'm also catering to his needs when we are on holiday. And this is what a content plan for me would look like. I use the same content plan, travel plan, to then create a content calendar. I gave the AI specific prompts to say, well, my style is putting certain stories, maybe a mix of static post, carousel post, and also reels. Now, remember, my content style on Instagram is very different to what I post on LinkedIn. So this is obviously the example of what I would post on an Instagram profile. And then this is the output. I mean, obviously, if I'm traveling, I don't have a photographer. Today also, I'm taking a tripod with me to just record this talk. You saw me taking some selfies right before the talk as well. And I generally create these mood boards to also help my husband these days. And I say, look, these are the kind of pictures and photos and videos, and I'm looking to, create. Just make sure that you have this in your head while we are going. Obviously, the mood board and the output looks completely different, right? Like, it's not that I'm trying to mimic what's on the mood board. But it's actually a great inspiration for anybody who is trying to communicate with another one who hasn't been part of the journey, right? And the reason is, if you look at human psychology, there are 3 different ways people can absorb information. Some people like to do it by audio. Some people like to do it by visuals. And some people like to do it by written text. And ChatGPT is helping me create that visual guidance rather than going on multiple websites, taking screenshots, and creating that mood board. So that's the outcome. Here's another one. I think we recently tried Instagram DM automation as well for our followers. Now, this is where we send welcome messages, or we send messages which are more tailored to the action that they are doing on our social media platform. Now, in this case, the command was when they are commenting with a certain keyword, we then send them a message which actually gives them the relevant content that they're looking for. And we've also used it for welcome messages. We've also used it for certain activities, which could be likes, which could be generic comments, etc. Now, the interesting bit is because this is personalized to the user and it's not just bombarding everybody, the amount of messages that we are sending are quite limited. But at the same time, we are getting a really high engagement rate. A lot of times, people are coming back to us and they're engaging a lot more because they see value in that content. And as promised, here's another example. So we talked about a long-form video getting cut into a short form. And this is actually quite recent. We've literally published it last week. What I did was, and I said, this is actually about B2B marketing funnel. And I wanted to break smaller reels out of this about stage 1, stage 2, stage 3. So my command was essentially, can you break this into 5 reels, which are different stages? And I can then use this as YouTube shorts. I can then use it as Instagram reels, etc., however I want. So, and actually, that works really well because everybody engages differently, right? No, but some people don't want to see a long-form content. But by seeing a short-form content that is valuable to them, they are coming back to us to watch that long form content as well. And this is an example of some of my content from Instagram. So before AI, I think I used to take about 80 pictures, give or take, at an event. Like my camera roll is full of photos, and I still have to clean it. But I'm much more at ease because I know I can do a lot more. And so basically, AI is my enabler. It is making me enjoy the things that I really want to do rather than being on the phone all the time. This was an event I attended, and there were a lot of people. So I used Lightroom, pretty simple, flick of a click, was able to remove people from the background. I'm not saying that I don't post authentic content, but at the same time, I want a cleaner feel to my feed. So this is a really good example of what you can do. Think about if you're showcasing at this event, or if you're showcasing anywhere else, and if you have a lot of like stand photos, how can you make them look more clean is another thing to think about. Here are some video examples. And I want to talk about the last one because that's a really interesting use case. What happened is this was last year. I went to a talk. The screen at the back malfunctioned. So there was, that's right at the top. There is nothing at the screen. I still wanted to publish the talk because it was a really good content. And what we did was we actually extracted the human from the video and layered something else on the background. And we were able to save the whole clip and publish it. And we did that hardly in like half an hour. Had it been pre-AI world, would have taken my editor a couple of days to do that. I don't think I even would know how to do it. And I would have just left it. I would never have used that content. I mean, this was pre-AI. I'm a Photoshop expert as well, obviously. In the pre-AI era, that would have taken me about 2 hours to clean without an AI, at least by creating layers. And if you have a creative designer, they would take like a long time as well. So I think it is enhancing our capability to do a lot more with a lot less. And I think that's the use case. This was pretty late as last year as well. And here what we've done essentially is we've just used captions.ai, which is an app on iPhone. And we just uploaded our video. And we were able to create the captions automatically, enhance the words which we wanted to pop or gain attention for the user as well. OK, so finally, as promised, a day in a life of content creator. Here's some of the tools that I think, we do a lot, right? Content planning, shoots, image creation, video editing. So think about what is in your toolkit. I'm not saying you need all of this. Just select like one or few of those tools that are relevant for you. And it can very well happen that you do not need shoot ones if you're in a different environment, versus somebody might not need image creation at all. Like I don't use image creation. I use more image editing and video editing overall. And then there are tools which are multifunctional as well, which can sit between both the platforms. But to be honest, so far I haven't seen a single piece or a tool that can do everything. So that's yet to come. And that's probably the evolve of this journey. And how will AI evolve? So this is something that I've been reading a lot. I think I started reading about AI 5 years back. So today, I look at AI, and a lot of industry experts would say they look at AI as an assistant. Future probably looks more like a coworker, where you can just tell them what to do. They'll do it with a little bit of supervision. And then maybe 2030, they will look like an orchestra player. So they will be basically charging your whole orchestra. But so more to come and see, as you also mentioned that it's very hard to predict exactly where we are going with this. But yeah, there are some common mistakes. Just like with anything else that's trending, that's coming up, there are some faults that always happen. Think about training your AI model. Do not post what is exactly generated. I've had this statement a lot of time. I have to unchat GPT a lot of content. And that's because either the AI is not trained, or we are not validating. AI can hallucinate. AI can bring wrong facts to you. So just validating content credibility if you're working with influencers, third-party content creators, thinking about, are you actually checking their work? Are you validating where the content is coming from is important. And then obviously thinking about legal and compliance as well is pretty critical. So no AI talk is complete without AI fails. So here's some examples of what's happening. There's some good work. There are some things that have also trended that might not be as good. The Willy Wonka experience obviously broke a lot of hearts, where AI generated an image, the real experience was completely different. And I think that's where the showcasing the authentic self, the authentic brand image is still so important. And DPD was a chatbot gone rogue. I think that actually trended earlier in Jan this year. So having a human, the lesson here is having a human at the back, making sure there are fail-safes is really important as well. And then there are obviously deep fakes that you have to recognize and understand. So training is key. And key risks. So we talked about how there is skill gap within the industry, right? And that's the most important thing. The consistency within the team when everybody is using AI, but differently, is not going to happen on its own. You have to train your teams to use it in a seamless fashion. And that could be just putting some rail guards on, here's a tool that we are going to use for copy, and here's a tool that we have trained for image editing. Because then you can put that brand guide, brand voice in that tool, and make sure that the content that you're producing is actually native to your brand. Obviously, vendor dependence, I think I haven't touched on this a lot, but basically, the point I'm trying to make here is that a lot of products are still in enhancement mode. So if as an organization you're looking to go with tools, don't try to lock yourself into a vendor just now. There will be a lot of other tools that will come up. There might be also consolidation, as we talked about, one tool bringing in many more capabilities than just one. So keep testing, keep exploring, but don't go into a long-term 2-3-year contract with a vendor where you then feel like you are not going to be able to use what's next in the pipeline. So that's really important. Also, just compliance and ethical implications of how you are using AI. It's not there to reduce headcount, and I want to say it clearly. It's there to enhance people's productivity, make them do that creative work, free up the time, so that we can do what we really want to do, which is spend time with family, connect with coworkers, and also be more productive every day. Probably not do all the mundane job of image editing. So with that, my final takeaway is AI is really effective. Please think about it, how you can use it for good. But at the same time, think about brand reputation, compliance, but also consistency. That's not going to happen on its own. And that's where organizations probably are still struggling, because there are pockets of innovations in different teams that are happening, but they're not brought together today. Thank you for listening. Any questions, please ask. I'm so very glad that all of you came to hear when there is so many amazing talks out there that you could have attended. So thank you for that.